Hi, and welcome to part 2 of my review and unboxing of the new Warbringer Nemesis Titan from Forgeworld, which was released yesterday. It's the 7th of December. So in part 1 I gave a bit of an overview of the Titan, and then unboxed and reviewed the head, the arm weapons and the carapace weapon, the Quake Cannon. So if you haven't seen that, you may want to go back and watch that one first. Then in this video I'll be looking at the main body and legs of the Titan, which are sold separately. Now these will set you back £690, but obviously you still need to get the weapons and head etc on top of that, so the total price for the Titan will be the £980, and that's regardless of which weapon options you go for, because at the moment all the weapon options are the same price, but I talk a bit more about that in the other video. Anyway, on to this set of boxes. As you can see, you've got two of these large red boxes that Forgeworld have started using since the release of the Warlord Titan. So that's the same number of boxes as the Warlord Titan, so hopefully we're looking at something of a considerable size. So let's have a look. Okay, as you can see there, got the envelope. This will have the instructions and the certificate that you get with all the larger Forgeworld models. So we can have a look at those. Okay, so we have the certificate here. They're all numbered. This one is number 225, which is surprisingly high considering this was ordered within a few minutes of them going on sale, but I guess they don't necessarily ship them out in the order of the certificates. Much higher than my Warlord and Reaver. But yeah, it's always a nice little touch to get those, I think. And then here are the instructions. So obviously that's an image of the completed Warbringer with the arms and head attached, and this will be the standard full colour instruction booklets that Forgeworld do these days. We've got breakdown of the pieces there, torso parts on that side and the legs over that side. Obviously a lot of pieces there, plenty of pistons, pipes, all sorts on the legs. They look to be a mix of somewhere between the Warlord and the Reaver. There are some elements there that look very similar to the Reaver. There's also things that look more like the Warlord, so it's an interesting blend of the two, but we'll look at all those parts in detail later. Looking at the body parts there, so you've got the large carapace parts, the deck there where the gun goes, that's nice there, detailed steps going down. Doesn't look like there's an interior detail here. There's an interior to the head, but no interior body parts, but then it does have quite a large open deck, so maybe that makes sense. Just have a quick flick through the instructions. So if you've put together any Forgeworld kits, you'll be familiar with these new full colour instructions that are very clear, show you where the glue should be applied, all the optional extras, and normally give you a few tips. It's all quite standard sort of assembly. If you've put together a Titan before, I think they should all be quite familiar. You can see there's the main body. As I said, that is just hollow with no detail inside. It looks like you've got a bit more posability on the where the torso attaches to the legs there than the Warlord, which is always completely flat. It does appear that you can put it at a slight angle, although that might actually look a little bit strange. There you can see the air defense guns. I don't know if they'll be releasing any different guns. I'm assuming not, as they've been released with the body, but you never know. And there you can just see the two crew figures that go on the deck on top. Some sort of Mechanicus servitor there, and a spotter for the gun, I believe. So although this doesn't come with a standing princeps, you do get some other models beside the seated crew. Okay, that's the instructions. So looking at this box, this looks to be the larger pieces. I'll go through all of those separately in a moment. And then this second box, it's the smaller components. Obviously lots of individual bags of components there. There's a box there that's got some of the more delicate parts, the crew and things like that. So again, I'll just get everything reorganised and then we'll go through all those parts in detail. Okay, so starting with the box of large pieces, I'm going to have a look first of all at some of the bits that make up the body. These are some of the largest pieces. So, see here, this is the rear of the body. It's got the entrance door there, the same as the Warlord Titan. You can see these circular holes here are magnet points for the ammo hoppers that I looked at in the first video. They'll attach on there, and again, as I said, it's nice that these have all got these magnet holes pre-drilled. There's plenty of detail on the side there. So as I said, no interior detail on this Titan, unlike the Reaver, but similar to the Warlord in that respect. This is the lower bit of the body where it attaches to the hips. As I said, you've got a slight ball socket there, so you have got some variety in posing there. And this will be the front of the body where the head attaches there. Quite a shallow body by the looks of it, but I think that makes sense because it has then this large platform on top. So this is the platform from the top of the Titan, where you've got the positions for some of the crew members to stand, and the large quake cannon will fit in this circular opening here. So you've got lots of tread plate detail on there. I think that'll come up nicely with a bit of dry brushing. No detail on the bottom there. Again, some pipes, things like that inside. So there's going to be all sorts of little bits of detail around on this body, tucked away. So I think definitely something you're going to be wanting to paint in sub-assemblies. I'll probably build up a few sections of the body, paint them separately, obviously leave all the armour panels off because they'll be a completely different colour, so much better to paint those later. Yeah, so on to the next set of pieces. Okay, next set of pieces from this first bag are this hip section here. So you've got the main centre of that where the body attaches on there, and ball sockets there for the leg joints. Plenty of detail underneath there, very similar to the Reaver. It's got the pipes going into the bottom there, as well as a few of these bits that they look maybe like searchlights. I'm not quite sure. And this is an engine or some sort of cooling detail part that goes on the back of this hip section like that. Hopefully I'll do another video once I've cleaned things up a bit and just then maybe show you things starting to go together so you can have a better idea of how this all fits together. So next we have some of the reactor parts from the back of the body of the Titan. Got some large cooling vents there that come out the back of the Titan, see one for either side. Then we've got these sections that have the attachment points for the void shield projectors. So you've got 3 on either side, so that's 6 void shield projectors, which does match the number of shields that the Titan has in the rules, unlike the Warlord, which has an extra pair of projectors on the model for some reason. I don't know if that was a change of plan later on, but anyway. So once again, detail all over these, so there's going to be detail tucked away all over the top of this body of this model. Definitely very nice, and I think there's some pipe detail that's going to go in the side there. So yeah, it's a very nice looking model. Okay, 2 smaller bits from this first box. about smallest bits in there actually. So these are the turrets for the air defense weapons. Two identical ones there, one for either side. Again, looks like there was a hole there for magnetization, so you can magnetize those in so they'll stay in place but still be able to move and potentially be swapped in the future if Forgeworld ever release any alternative weapons. And now the final parts from the first box, which is some of the armour panels. So we've got this panel which goes above the head, and there's a sort of shield in front of the gun on top to protect the gun and the crew there. Can see some slight markings on there, I think part of the 3D printing process maybe, so that will maybe need just a little bit of sanding to smooth that up. But other than that, nice standard arm piece. Interesting sort of curve in all sorts of directions going on there. And then we've got these two main armour panels that are kind of quite focal points at the front of the Titan. Like the Reaver, these have quite a lot of nice relief detail there, sort of eagle, Mechanicus cog, and some scroll work there that you could put maybe a Titan name on, though it is quite small, so you're going to have to paint that fairly carefully or give it a very short name. But yeah, it's nice to have that detail. That was something I very much liked on the Reaver, the very detailed carapace top. I mean, it's not quite as much here, but still just gives something to work with when you come to painting it up. And those are pretty much identical, just reversed, slight differences in the pattern of cracks on the detail there, which obviously makes sense, but nice that they haven't just mirrored it completely. But other than that, they are just mirror images of each other. No real detail on the back there. Now onto the second box. This has got a number of bags in it containing some of the slightly smaller elements. So again, this bag here has pretty substantial pieces in it. So I'll get these out and go through them. Okay, so in this first bag, got pieces mostly connected with the legs. Got this section here, which is another part of the sort of waist assembly. Lots of pistons there, though they are obviously all just moulded in. They're not separate pistons. It's a bit of a shame, although obviously that would have been a lot of pistons to put together, and I think this bit is going to be fairly tucked away, so not actually that noticeable on the finished model. So it's probably fine having them moulded on. Other parts from the hips there, these will go on the side and hold the pistons that attach then out to the upper legs. So just got two identical ones of those. I believe probably some rotation on these to allow you to position the pistons best as possible. These two parts here will be what attaches the legs to the hips, so they're just big chunks of resin. This similar sort of thing on the Warlord. Probably these I'll be drilling and pinning with some 4mm brass rod, maybe even all the way through, just to really make sure that the legs are strong, as there'll be obviously a lot of weight on these pieces. Then we've got here some more of the leg parts. I think these are the lower halves of the upper leg. I think these attach to the knees, and I believe this here is actually the knee itself, so that will fit in something like that. I don't know which way round. I'll hopefully work that out before I assemble them. So yeah, two of those that are mirror images of each other, and the same with the knee pieces. They're symmetrical and identical, in fact. Here we've got the lower leg pieces, so there's some armour plating in there that maybe you want to paint as the same colour as the over armour, so that'll be a case of maybe painting the main metal colour on the legs and then doing a bit of masking and getting in and painting in some of this armour detail, though I think this is going to be very hidden away, so might not even be necessary. And then just got ball socket feet, or ball socket joints for the feet there, so you have plenty of options for positioning. And I think you can see here various ball joints here that will attach, I think, the sort of toe pistons and things like that. So going to be fairly complicated lower legs, I think quite similar to the Reaver there, with lots of pistons, which I did like. I was a big fan of the lower legs of the Reaver. I like the way those went together. So yeah, that's looking good. These bits here, I'm not certain what they are. I think they're probably pieces of the body. I think maybe pieces that attach some of the power generator parts from the back of the body. So two of those in the mirror image. Again, lots of little bits of detail tucked away that presumably will be visible on the final model. And last of all, the two knee pads that are identical again by the looks of it. Just got the armour detail on there, no sort of relief detail like the Reaver knee pad, but obviously it's a good area for doing a bit of three-handing or putting on some transfers, whatever, if you want to add a bit of visual flair to the Titan when you paint it. Right, next bag. You can see you've got some of the air defence weapons in there, stabilisers from the side of the body, a few other bits and bobs, so let's get those out and have a look. Okay, so having a look through this bag, obviously we've got the cannons here for the air defence turrets, 4 of those in total, two pairs, so there's a large auto cannon pieces. So yeah, the two mirror image pieces go together something like that. They'll need a little bit of straightening, but it's not unusual for long thin resin parts. It's nice to see this air defence appearing on Titans. I think it does help to add to the scale when they have other weaponry all over them as well as their main guns. So also we've got a pair of these stabiliser pieces. These are similar to the ones on the Warlord Titan that sort of stick out just above the hips. It's much smaller than the versions on the Warlord, but design is quite similar. You can certainly see they're meant to be the same piece. So they're quite nice to paint up. There's maybe an opportunity to do a bit of sort of source lighting on that, make it look like they've got a nice glow to them. Got some pieces for the arm here. I think these are the support. This will go into the sort of shoulder, and this will attach to the arm gun. I think there are some pistons that go in that gap there. So it's quite nice. That looks very much like the turret that holds the carapace guns on the Warlord. I don't know if that's been reused, but yeah, that's good. And obviously having the ball socket joint there gives you a lot of posability of the arm. Again, looks like might have the hole there if you want to magnetise the weapons, though maybe that's a little small. I would have thought maybe you need a bigger hole for the size of magnet you'd need, but I could be wrong. They are pretty strong, these new these rare earth magnets. So this part here is the neck joint. As I mentioned in my review of the head, that is magnetised, so you've got place here for the 4 magnets. So this will be glued to the body, and then the head will be magnetised on, so you can take it off to get to the crew, or if Forgeworld starts selling replacement heads in the future, easy to swap them over. This is just plates from the back of the body of the Titan. This will be in front of the main door, very similar in design to the rear of the Warlord that has these same clamps. I think are meant to represent something that when the Titan is sort of docked, this will clamp on somewhere to allow the crew to walk in and out easily. This is, I believe, just part of the armour above the head. I think it's sort of internal piece of that to give just a bit more detail below the main armour panel. Got a selection of cables there. I think these are the ones for the leg, and these I guess must be the arm ones that goes from the body down to the arm weapons, so 2 of those on either side. And finally there are these very delicate parts, which are the handrails. So obviously they've got these pieces here with the large circular holes, but those are just shim pieces that you need to cut away to leave just these very delicate rails. So I think that's going to be hard work to cut those out, and these are going to be certainly very delicate when they're finished. Probably need to get a very sharp knife on those and be very careful. Hopefully be reasonably strong once they're glued in place, but until then it's going to be very easy to snap these supports. Very nicely detailed though, with a sort of cross effect, not just a straight bar. Okay, next bag. Again, lots of small pieces in here. Looks like lots of pistons, forward shield projectors. So just have a very quick look through this, because pistons are pistons. Okay, so I haven't laid these out that neatly, because just going to go through it all very quickly, pick out a few bits of interest. So got these pieces here that are, I believe, the armour panels for the toes that go in between the main toes. This is another feature that comes from the Warlord. So I think 8 of those probably in total. Yeah. So yeah, that's 4 for either foot. Got the void shield projectors here. Now these look identical to the ones from the Warlord, so I think they're basically just the same piece reused. As mentioned, there are 6 of those, which does match the in-game rules, at least if you're playing Horus Heresy rules. I think standard 40k rules, they no longer have the concept for a number of void shields. They're handled slightly differently. Got the Mauler bolt cannons there for the point defense weapons. So just 3 of those. I think they're all just single bolt weapons. They're not twin linked or anything like that. So you get 2 of those at the front of the Titan and 1 mounted sentry at the back, just for picking off smaller targets. These are some support pieces for the main frontal carapace armour. Just attach it to the body. Another piece of armour attachment plate. I would imagine that goes above the head most likely, or below it maybe. Okay, so these are actually rear leg armour that go just behind the knees. Then the rest of this bag is sort of nearly all pistons of various shapes and sizes, with just a few pipes in there, but mostly pistons. On there is a part of the turrets for the point defense guns. So so this is part of what holds the point defense turrets in place. So yeah, that's that bag. It's mostly pistons, so not that interesting. Okay, so onto this bag, which is just the toe pieces. I think these are all identical, and I expect there to be 8 of these, 4 for each foot. And there's 9. So if anybody's Warbringer Titan is missing a toe, they may want to give me a message. I don't think there's any other reason. It must just be a mistake, I think. That might come in useful for a bit of scenery or a test piece. Not sure. But yeah, these are nice sturdy looking feet here. Similar to the Reavers in shape. They've got that sort of convex curve to them, but more detailed, similar to the Warlord in their detailing. So again, you're seeing that real blend between the 2 Titans, but definitely a good sturdy look to these. They do look like they'll keep the Warbringer firmly planted as it's firing that ridiculous gun on top. Okay, the next bag, we're staying with that lower leg theme. These are some of the armour pieces and sort of piston pieces for the lower leg. I think there's a few slight differences to these. So you've got sort of 4 on either side around the legs. Again, this is a similar idea to the Reaver, where these will fit into the toes and have pistons on the back there to kind of give the illusion of how the Titan would actually move its feet. I did feel that was something that the Reaver did a bit better than the Warlord. I just found it more realistic with the pistons rather than the sort of strange rolling ball joint that the Warlord has, that I'm never quite sure how those are meant to work. So good to see a return to this style. Certainly quite curvy pieces. Bit of a change from the very chunky toes to these smoother curved pieces, but again, this should look pretty nice when painted up, and obviously a bit weathered round the bottom. Okay, so here we have a bag with some slightly larger components again. So let's get those out and have a look. Okay, so what we've got here is 6 pieces, 3 different types that are just mirrors of each other, I believe. So we've got 2 of these shoulder joint pieces that obviously will attach to the side of the body, and then you've got the ball socket joint for the arm weapons to attach to, and I believe some armour panels probably go on top there, or could possibly be where the air defence turrets go in, actually, now looking at it. Again, that's quite similar to the Reaver, that design underneath there. Got the 2 feet here, so obviously where the ball sockets from the leg goes in there, larger sections where the toes attach, and then these smaller ones where the individual armour panels between the toes go. So again, 2 of those which are identical. And finally the tops of the upper leg. So you've got the ball socket there that attaches to the hips, places there for pistons that will obviously have to be built up and cut to size depending on the posing you go for the legs. Attachment point there for some of the pipes that hang down between the legs. Again, that's another design cue from the Reaver. So nice smooth empty metal section there, and it's on the version on the Forgeworld site. There's some very subtle sort of metal effects on there to give a slight pattern, which I'm tempted to replicate just to avoid having such a smooth open area of metal, but I'm not sure I'm probably up to the standard to do that, but we'll see. And yeah, those 2 bits are just identical versions, not mirrored, so they can go either way. Right, we're nearly there. There's 2 more bags to go, both of which look like they contain mostly armour panels. So this is the first one. Okay, so this first bag of armour plating, got this front plate from the hip section there. Again, nicely detailed piece, little grill there. It's not just smooth metal, and lots of these little rivet parts you can just pick out to break up the large flat areas. This piece here goes underneath the head on the sort of front of the body. The Mechanicus cog there for add a bit of detail. Paint that on. I'll probably do that in black and white rather than gold. Just breaks up all the gold sort of trim detail to have something a bit different. It's the armour plate from above the head, so it's obviously just one of those. These 2 plates are lower body plates, so they're down, sort of protecting from ground fire around the sort of bottom of the body. And the final 2 pieces are the armour for the shoulder plates, go on the side of the Titan. So again, mirror images of each other, a little bit of detail in the panels there. So there's no real plain panels on this. There's always a little bit of detail just to basically break it up. So it's going to be a very nice looking model, I think. Certainly the most detailed Titan that Forgeworld have done so far. And finally, the last bag. So let's get this open and see what we get in here. Okay, so this finishes off the armour panels. So you've got 4 of these pieces for the lower legs. These are similar style to the Reaver, though not identical. Have this slight sort of outward curve towards the top, which is a little bit different. But the basic idea of having the two half panels that are separated at the front matches the design of the Reaver like that, and then obviously the gaps for the toe pieces to fit through. These pieces here are the armour for the upper legs. That nice sort of T sword type design there, bit of grille work. Again, slightly interesting curves. So there's nothing that curves in just one direction on this model. It all sort of curves out all over the place, which is a little bit of a departure, but I think it just adds a little bit of variety to the range of Titans. And final pieces. These are some further, I think, reactor type pieces from the rear of the main body. So sort of one for either side that going around somewhere around where the void shield projectors are. I think there's some pipes that come down into that. And yeah, again, just little bits of detail all over the place. So yeah, that is the last of the pieces. So I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing and review. I'm sorry it's so long, but there's just so many pieces. As I said, hopefully once I've started to get the model cleaned up a bit and trimmed off some of the larger gates, I'll maybe revisit some of the interesting bits and just show you how they start to come together, so you can get a better idea of how all those many pieces form the Titan, and maybe a few updates as I build and paint it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Feel free to check out some of my other videos. I've got obviously part 1 of this review of the Warbringer, plus some other videos looking at Adeptus Titanicus scale Titans. If you have any suggestions for things you'd like to see, size comparisons, or any other details you want me to go over in more detail on this Titan, then please let me know in the comments, and I hope to... Thanks. And I'm back, because I just found another box of bits. This really is the end now. So, this is just going to be some of the smaller, more delicate components. So, what have we got in here? Okay, so this final little box of pieces, it's got the mounts for the Mauler bolt cannons there. See the two side ones and the one on the rear, and then these are the brackets themselves for the guns that will be attached to those pieces. Again, you've got the 3 of those. Some small join pieces here, I think, for attaching some of the armour panels onto the body at some point. Some vents, I would think these are from the back of the body, somewhere around those reactor sections. A couple of pipes. I think this might be an attachment point for some pipes there. And finally the 2 crew models for the sort of main gunnery deck. So we've got the sort of servitor there, or sort of standard Mechanicus type servitor. He's got multiple arms there. It looks like there might be an arm missing from that, so hopefully that will show up. I'll have a hunt for that. So we've got this spotter here, got a bionic eye on there, and similar clothing to the Princeps, but not identical. Got there the further arms for the servitor. These are the sort of telescope pieces that go on top of the body on the gunnery deck. near where these two characters stand. And finally in this bag got the arms for the spotter, and looks like maybe that missing arm for the servitor as well is in there, so they've obviously decided to spotted that that's come off and stuck it in there or whatever. So that's good, that one's turned up. So that really is it. Thanks for watching.